Starting the recording, and I just need to deactivate this transcription because I find that very disturbing. It's transcribing everything I say, even with my lousy accent. It's a good machine. Yeah, stop transcription. Good, good. Hi, Tessa.
Good morning.
Morning. Good afternoon. Happy Friday, guys. I'm closer to the weekend than most of you. Yeah. All right. So back to the slides. So we'll come back to DigiBite. So today is the third and last session. We'll be spending 2 hours together. And again, as I mentioned, I have two lovely ladies with me who will be presenting part of the agenda. Yeah, so we still the same audience. We should be roughly around 20 people coming from 10 different markets. And same household stuff. Please, if you can keep your camera on. Also for Angel and Cecile to, to say hi. And a quick recap on what we saw yesterday. Yeah. So yesterday we've covered the third capability of campaign excellence, which was about really how to keep people in the database warm, because we all know that it's easier to sell, it's easier to talk to prospects and existing customer who've been kept nurtured, who've been kept warm in the database. Yeah. So, and one of the low-hanging fruits we saw is actually just by having a regular newsletter. So regular could be monthly, like our colleagues in the US and in Oceania, but it could be also quarterly, once every 6 months. It's totally up to you to decide as a frequency based on resources and content available. And we also had a group exercise where we kind of mapped an end-to-end campaign together. Yeah. Or we try to map, because again, as I mentioned, this exercise is really, really great. And we do it like live, and it's really highly, highly interactive. Doing that online is not ideal. So just to give you a little bit of a flavor, a little bit of, a feeling of, how a campaign mapping is done. So I shared with you a few examples of newsletter from different markets, and we've covered Talking Taste, which is the Oceania one, in a little bit of detail, and how it helped in some of the KPIs the market is targeting for. So which is being able as an organization in Oceania to have a dialogue and have a conversation with a big portion of the marketing universe. We also had a really good group exercise. So remember, every market had listed 1 or 2 or even 3 key business priority for 2022. And we voted, and there was a similar initiative across Anglo-Dutch Caribbean and also the US, which got most votes. And that actually was how to increase the first-party data in one of the key priority channel, which is CBB, coffee, bakeries, and bars. And we'll cover that in a little bit of detail. Yeah, so the objective was to really increase our database part in that specific channel, because we want to be able to really engage them after that in a dialogue. Yeah, and we mapped a campaign on how to bring that objective to life. And I'll go in detail. So let's look at the one thing that is really, really critical, guys, is if you translate in a business objective into concrete campaign activities, it's really important that you put numbers, you put smart KPI, something you can measure and you can optimize. Yeah. So the objective we have yesterday is to really increase our database penetration in the CBB channel. So CBB stands for coffee, bakeries, and bar in 2022. Yeah, I know that yesterday we talked about 10%. I took the freedom to put 50%, and I'll explain why. Yeah. first thing is I took those numbers from Euromonitor. So these are really, and I think, Dalia, you know those numbers pretty much by heart now. The CBB channel is the third most important channel for our organization. Yeah, purchase is expected to really go to 8% from 2021 to 2023. The projected sales is really, 19% in the total operator spend by 2023. So really a sizable opportunity. And by 2023, there will be more than 2.7 million outlets, CBB outlets globally. Yeah. So what will be great if, and I know that you've mentioned yesterday, Dalia, that in Europe, about a third of that is in Europe when we're talking about 1 million outlets. I think one of the good things is for your market, you really understand how many outlets we're talking about so that we can really start measuring the results of our efforts, of our campaign efforts. So again, those numbers here in blue, so the blue bars and the yellow bars are totally fictive. They're not real. I'm just taking it because I want to make a point here. Yeah. So when you really have an objective like this, it's really important to understand what you spend today. Yeah. So I just put here, and again, these are not real numbers because I don't know the numbers for the US and for Anglo-Dutch region. But the idea here is to understand how many we have currently in the database CBB. So I just assumed, if there was 32,000 outlets, and by the way, those are UK numbers, but I'm just using them for illustration, as I've mentioned. Yeah. So the idea here is to go from 320, which is 1%, to and increase it by 50%. So that means 480 outlets. Yeah. This represents 160 incremental. Yeah, so that's why I put 10%, 50%, because yesterday when I was doing some math last night, I was like 10%. That's barely 32 outlets. And I'm sure you can do better than adding 32 outlets to your database. Yeah, so I think something a little bit more sizable, like 160 outlets, it's achievable. Yeah, especially for a large market like yours, Christine, in the US. Yeah. So even with increments into 160 outlets, we're still talking going from 1% to 1.5% of channel penetration. Yeah, so it's still very small, but at least it's something that you can measure and you can monitor. So we said that we're going to target really some specific audiences without that channel, and this would be decision makers, so baristas, owners, pastry chef, and procurement. Yeah. And again, the KPIs, remember we said that we will try to have at least 2 to 3 contacts per account, because that's the best practice. Is for each account we acquire, I want to know at least 2 to 3 people in that account that I can talk to. Yeah. So if I put that as an assumption, that will take us to 300, between 300 and 500 roughly as contacts in the database. Okay, you guys are okay with the numbers? No questions so far? Like just how to translate a data objective into something really, really concrete, because you need to be concrete if you want to, get actions, and if you want to be monitoring, the KPIs. So far, so good. Yeah, is this making sense? Yeah. Are you guys following? It's a bit of maths, but again, it's common sense. Maybe if you're not comfortable with, translating a business objective to some concrete things, I can again explain, huh? Are we good?
Good so far.
Looks good.
Mm-hmm. All right, so going back to the slides. And then here comes the campaign. Yeah, so I did a little bit of cleanup last night. So remember, the media mix is always local. You always decide which is the most relevant media mix to reach that target audience. I've just taken a liberty to put, probably it'll be a mix of owned media and paid media. Yeah. So the objective here is really identify if you want to talk to those key decision makers in the CBB channels. And we identify a few of them: barista, pastry chef, purchasing, and then the business owner. Yeah. So it'll be really important that we identify in which platform those guys, can be targeted. Yeah. It's usually the same platform, Facebook, better LinkedIn, and some Google ads. Yeah. And we said that we will develop a few value proposition that resonates with the audience, and this could be around sustainability, could be around how to improve your revenue, how to drive costs down, how to. So again, these are only examples to really help inspire you and help bring again that objective, that business objective, to life via concrete activities. Yeah. So one thing that works always really, really good, especially for, because CBB, most of the CBB is independent outlets. So usually they have an owner that is really struggling sometimes because he's doing many things at the same time. So usually what works really, really well with that audience is, we'll help him as Nestle social media advertising for coffee shops. Join our webinar to find out how you could really make the best out of your social media presence, or how to maximize profit for coffee owners. It's just like some small tips, because again, these are independent business owners. They like really concrete tips on how to improve their business, and they view Nestle as really a leader in some of the activities, and it's important that we use that to engage with them. Same thing for Google. I've seen that there was quite a bit of workshop with Google, on how to grow your business with Google search ads. So if we can maybe invite, I know that in some markets we do that, where we run webinars, inviting the operator, yeah, and we show them, how to have a better presence, for example, using geolocalization in Google. Yeah. So, and again, they can register by clicking on the invite. And again, once they register, it's one of our forms that is presented. They share their first party data, submit. They get a thank you landing page, and then we can start engaging with them via automate. We can send them a confirmation email, and that's how you get them into the database. Remember, the objective of this campaign is not to acquire leads, but it's to acquire operators in that channel. So you could use, actually, it's even highly recommended that you use the social forms, yeah, because social forms perform better than Adobe Forms. And the objective here is not lead quality, but it's just really optimizing that first party data acquisition. Yeah, the lead elements will come later, but this is just first step. This is really getting as many right people into the database. That's the objective of your campaign. I think it was a few ladies from, it was usually from Greece, and also Georgia. You mentioned yesterday about, coffee master classes. Totally. This really resonates really, really well for some of the decision maker. So baristas, even owners, we'll show you how to, be the expert in coffee, the latest recipes in coffee, etc. So sign up here. It's also a really great incentive to get people, interested and sign up. There is also other techniques. The draw always works. You just need to find the right carrot, so the right incentive. Yeah. And also I've added in there CBB Industry Loyalty Club is something you've mentioned yesterday, Sophia. I think it's a great idea, but you need to be just transparent what they're getting in exchange. So if they enter the loyalty club, what is it they're getting, you know? And I think it's great what you've suggested yesterday, that we can help them with training their staff. We can help with the retention. You're totally right. Keeping workforce in this channel. If you're an independent coffee shop owner, probably you deal with quite a high churn of staff because these are temporary people, summer jobs, students, etc. So you want to really help, help them with that. So that could be something extremely appealing for the audience. Yeah, and of course, you know, once they sign up, again, a form. Some of the form can always be on, some of the form can be on and off. Totally up to you to decide based on your PFME, etc. Yeah. Other really interesting lever you can leverage is really the trade association. I've looked at in the US, you have a couple of really good association of bakery US. Always a good idea to have a presence in there, and also, you know, pastry chef as influencer. I don't think we do enough of influencer marketing. It's extremely powerful. I don't think we do enough of that. Yeah. So the great thing is when you do that, you bring in data, you bring in first-party data to the database real time. So over time, you'll see in your local database being incremented. Yeah. And hopefully that small yellow bar for that specific channel in your database, which is the CBB, increasing over time. But the great thing is, because everything is interconnected in our digital ecosystem, if you're using Adobe Forms, of course, they will feed the database real time. But if you're using social forms, again, these are integrated with Adobe. So you'll see really your database being incremented real time, you know, and of course, you'll be reporting on that and showing the analytics with your organization. And opening the champagne because you've met your objective. All right. This is what we discussed yesterday. It's just the slide is a little bit fancier, but these are all your ideas, guys. Huh? I haven't done anything yesterday. It was all your ideas. I just put it a little bit cleaner. Yeah, so well done. Well done. Anything you want to add?
Thank you for putting that together. It would be great if we had a, I know we have the workplace forum, but to always be able to bounce ideas off each other.
So you're thinking about like having a campaign excellence forum? Is that what you have in mind, Christine? Something that helps maybe ideation within the community?
Yeah,
I thought of it. Yeah, why not? Why not? For now, we only have 1 or 2 groups in workplace, but it has everything, you know. It has the websites, it has, if you think we have the critical mass, because the only thing is, would we have the critical mass? Because you know what happened with those groups is you have only 20 people, 30, 40, you post once every 6 months, people will go in, they see a post that is really old, they're not gonna go the second time, yeah? So if you think you can help me animate that, I would love to, but it's a joint effort, yeah? But yes, why not? I think we have enough maturity now to, so yeah, so I would love to have a digital community that kind of, you know, bounce ideas together, act as a sparring partner. Let's think of it, Christine. Yeah, but I love the idea.
okay.
Anything else to add, guys, before we go back to the agenda? No? All right. So going back to the slides. So I'm going to introduce you Angel. So I don't know if you know Angel. She's part of Nestle. She's located in Lisbon. She's part of the, I think she's working with most of you. And, you know, I'm so grateful to have her part of the team because you've been with us since the very beginning, Angel, when we started this journey together over 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, when we started implementing Adobe, building campaign excellence, campaign in the center of excellence, Angel has helped me really build the service in Lisbon. Because markets today, to run campaigns, they don't run any campaigns themselves. They use what we call the shared service. So that team is shared across Nestle. Actually, we share it mostly with Nespresso because Nespresso is also using Adobe. So they do campaigns for Nespresso, but they do also campaign for Nestle Professional. Yeah. So they take a brief and then they do the campaign for you. And we've been operating like this for the last 4 years, except the US, because you've been initially with Tenlo, and now slowly, you know, some of the workload is being transitioned, as you know, Christine and Tessa, to the campaign team in Lisbon. Yeah. So today, globally, all markets, they use the shared service in Lisbon to run their campaign, except China. China, they use WeChat. They don't use Adobe. It's a totally different scenario. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to you, Angel, so you can say hi and yeah, crack on. Angel, do you want to present or you want me to drive as you wish?
I can present my screen.
Want to drive? Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Take it.
I just put it on slideshow and let me start. Okay. All right. So is everybody seeing my screen?
Yes, all good.
Yes.
All right, great. So good morning to those in the Americas. Good afternoon to those in Europe. So my name is Angel Monreal, and as Betty has mentioned, I've been working with Nestle Professional end of 2018, and I would like to use this time now to share with you how our team CRM services can support you through your digital marketing success in CLM. So here, as you can see, we are composed of 5 people. We have now 3 full-time people that will be working with Nestle Professional. So first, we are headed by Gonzalo Farina, and we also have Elena Costa here in the call, who is our lead specialist. And in operations, the people that you will be working with is with me or Maria, Caterina, Maria Julia, and we also have Hugo. So these 3 ones are the new latest addition, sorry, for our team. So here on the next slide, we would see that previously everything is being done at the market side. So from strategy, pardon the noise, something is in construction here. But yeah, as you can see here, we have operating model 1, wherein markets are the ones creating everything from scratch, from strategy to design until implementation using Adobe Campaign. And now with the leveraging of shared services and BS Lisbon here, we have elevated the implementation part from the markets and to our end. So Betty also mentioned earlier that as we are a shared services, some of our team members are also working not only on Nestle Professional, but also on Espresso and other brands. So when we get to onboard, most of you will probably hear us or ask us a lot about, okay, what are your plans for this year? What are your volumes for this year? Because that is for us very important to ensure that we have the workload and the capacity properly designated, okay, so that we don't get to any rush mode or always in an urgent mode. But here in operating model 2, now the implementation part will be covered by our services. So here's the campaign value chain as just a visual example of what I've just mentioned earlier. So planning and preparation, from the design to creating the brief. How do you want your landing page to look like? How do you want your email to look like? How do you want the flow, the customer journey to look like? Will be done on the market side. And then here in the execution, we will be using the Adobe campaign tool. We will also send you proofs. So proofs are like the tests, or let's say the actual emails, but not actual emails, just so you would see them also on your site, how it will look like for the actual customers. And we will also be the one doing the dispatch or the confirmation of the emails to make sure that everything that you plan to be sent on a specific date or on a specific campaign go live will go as planned. And then lastly, we also have the reporting part. Okay, so moving forward to the scope that we have. So we have a lot of different services here. So from campaign implementation, you will also hear us talk more about items, which could mean a landing page or an email, because for some markets, they dispatch newsletters on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. And also for a campaign, it could also be a combination of the landing pages or the emails. One of the things that I really want to highlight here is that whatever is in our scope are all based on templates that have been designed, approved, and approved by the SPU. So whenever we do onboardings with the market, we need to make sure that the requests are something really within the brief or within our scope. Otherwise, we need to get support from the SPU approval. Okay, can we do this or can we do that? And if it is too complex, and then we also get support from the SPU. Here, we also support with the asset adaptations. So every time a new market is onboarded in Adobe Campaign, there is a stage wherein every asset is being finalized and reviewed by the market. So what do I mean by these assets? So these are your headers and footers. So all the information there are set up so that once the market is live, it's ready to be used for all your campaigns. And in case there is a need that we need to change, let's say, an address in your footer, these are something a thing that we could support you with. In terms of reporting, at the moment we are leveraging Adobe Campaign. As later in the demo, you will see that in Adobe Campaign, not only that you have your contacts, businesses, and leads, but you can also get or extract reports from the emails that we sent, or we can extract information about, okay, how many leads did we get from this campaign, so on and so forth. Moving on to the data services. At the moment, we have three main services, which is the data import, data deletion, and data enrichment. So as markets are moving on with Adobe Campaign, I'm sure some of them also have data based on a different legacy system. Should you want to communicate to those contacts, then the data import is the service that we would activate. Just note as well that we have different briefs for different needs. So most of the time we have the campaign briefs, which we will also try to go over on a high level later. Data import also has a different brief. And this is not just for the sake of having a brief. We want to make sure that the data that we put in Adobe has quality. And in order to do that, we need to educate the market. Okay, these are the different important fields that we need to follow in order to have quality data imported in Adobe. Talking about data quality, we also have the data deletion. So as we are working on a customer journey, there will be times where we need to test a lot to see, okay, is the journey that we have designed, for example, if we send an email, and does the person receive a thank you email or not? So in order to do that, we need to do a lot of tests. So with these tests, it might happen that it can happen in production, and we don't want to pollute our database, right? So this is also one of the things that we could do. So imagine we've created a campaign. For some reason, there's a lot of tests. Um, Afterwards, we could also set to delete them. Another scenario would be obsolete businesses or contacts that couldn't be contacted. So these are all some things that we could provide in terms of the data deletion service. And then lastly, still with the data qualities, data enrichment. So in order for us to optimize the use of our database to make sure that we send personalized communication, um, we send meaningful content. We need to make sure our data is that our data are up to date. And for example, if we want to reach out to a specific group that are with a specific job function or with a specific interest or with a specific job function, if most of our database or most of our contacts don't have that correct information plugged into their um, profile, then they would miss this opportunity from the newsletters or from the campaigns that you have planned for so long and designed beautifully. So we don't want that. And this is one of the solutions that you guys can activate once you have reviewed your database and to make sure that everything is correctly placed. So the
Maybe I
data,
can quickly, if you allow me, Angel, I can quickly maybe
yes.
give an example to the audience.
Mhm.
Middle East last year, Middle East, they had a large portion of the database with no industry. Yeah. So they've worked with a third party. So we extracted actually the list of the accounts, all the list of the accounts, we extract them from Adobe, the one without an industry. They've given that to a third party. Yeah, so it wasn't personal data. It was just like a list of businesses. So Betty's Cafe, Tessa's restaurants, yeah. And the third party operator just enriched them with the industry. So they put, CBB, they put accommodation, and the team imported that back. Yeah. So the idea here is just to really enrich an existing database. So this is the type of service that we're really trying to grow with the team in Lisbon, because it's expensive actually to have a data scientist, to have somebody working on your data on a daily basis. So that's why we're trying to really train a person or two in Lisbon so that they can really support you back with your data, especially now that we have more digital maturity. We see that, good data means good campaign bring us good data. So it is really a virtuous circle we're trying to do. So this is exactly that block in there, data service. And this is probably one of the services which will grow quite substantially over the next couple of years. Yeah, sorry for the interruption, Angel.
No, that was a really good addition, Betty. Thank you so much. All right. So I'm going to move on with the other services. So as Betty has mentioned this as well earlier in the overview, wherein instead of using Adobe Forms, we can also leverage our social media forms like on Facebook or in LinkedIn. And before this connector, the markets would have to launch a campaign, run the campaign, export the list, import it in Adobe. It's very, very manual. But this solution that has been also driven by Betty has given opportunity for markets to be more efficient, to be more automatic. So basically, as we still leverage the Facebook and LinkedIn forms. Now it can be automatically connected or received by Adobe Campaign. And also for markets that are using C4C, it can also flow through C4C. So it's very automatic, and I believe that this will be very efficient with your campaigns. So Facebook Connector was launched, I think, 2 years ago. This year, there has been a change in the ways of working, and also we will, of course, communicate that whenever we have our operational review with the market or when we do our onboarding with them. LinkedIn Connector is the newest one, just last year, December. And lastly, we have the
Isabel?
global. Mhm.
Isabel, sorry for interrupting. I see there was a question. Maybe you don't
Oh, okay.
see the raised hand. Veronica, you wanna just ask the question?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. It was in terms of the data. What we talked about the other day, that we have obviously not all our database has opted in. So I imagine this, well, from the data that we saw, it happens in almost all the zones. So if there's a plan like to understand or develop a campaign, I don't know if possible, obviously there will be some terms of data privacy, etc., to do opt-in campaigns to make sure all our database has an opt-in.
It's a good question, Veronica. You mean permission campaign? So we had a good question. I think it was day one from Nordics, who asked, globally, we know that globally, 62% of the database have permission. We have consent. So in some markets, it's better than others. But overall, we have 62% of the database which has provided conscious consent. Running a permission campaign is a market decision. We're just here to provide best practice, guidance, and make sure that we have the tools and market is supported. But deciding to run or not is really a market decision, so yes, a market can run a permission campaign. This is actually, one of the services the factory is providing. Maybe it's something that we can add in gel, just to be really clear. As an example of campaign, it could be a permission campaign where you send an email. But to do a permission campaign, you need a nice value exchange, Veronica. So you need to say, okay, if you join our club, we will receive exclusive offer. You will receive this and that. The database need to understand that they're not giving an opt-in like that, but they will get something valuable in exchange. Yeah. So does this answer your question? So yes, the campaign factory can support with permission campaign. This is not something we can run globally. It's a market decision. Data belong to markets, so it's the market responsibility to act on it. But we can support also from an SBU perspective, from a best practice, from a reporting, we can definitely support. But ultimately, it's the market that decide to put that in the plan and to run those permission campaigns.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Veronica. Okay, so for the global assets or the global campaigns, so we know that most of the markets are also trying to adapt to digital campaigns, Adobe campaign, trying to think of what content can we give to our customers, to our businesses. And here are a couple of initiatives that the SBU has run, wherein it translated into templates that we use so that markets can use it as a plug and play assets. So we've got the Aldo journey. So it's a landing page with a form and thank you email asking about hygiene or sustainability. So if this is something that is within your interest, we have a brief for that. And you will also see that on our SharePoint site where we receive all the requests. We also have the landing page or the landing page plus journey campaigns for Rostalier. So these are specific landing page designed to communicate the Rostalier brand. And then we proudly serve Starbucks, and we have 4 types of sub services here, where we have the lead generation campaigns, we have the contact us forms for the coming. We proudly serve Starbucks websites. We also have the newsletter sign up forms. And lastly, we have the regular e-blast or the seasonal campaigns. So every season, the above the market team from WPSS releases a new email template or a new email design, and we adapt that to our template. I think you run through the La Casa del email on the first day, probably, or on the second day, but we adapt those email templates so that it could be available for the markets to use when applicable. And lastly, we have the business to customer or the recipient form. So as we are heavily focused on B2B, there is also a need for a B2C form. This has been initiated from the Turkish market, and this is going to be available as well for you. Um, Later, we will check out in the brief how these forms are set up and how we can or how you can give us this information as a request. So before I move forward, do you guys have any questions? All right.
Maybe just a quick remark, Angel, before you move to the next part. This is not an onboarding guide for Campaign Factory, huh? If you are new, like you, Natasha, and you, Sophia, if you are new to NP, there will be a dedicated onboarding session with Angel and her team, dedicated only to your markets, where they show you around, they explain to you the services in detail. So the session today is more of an overview of what's available and an overview of the ways of working. Yeah, so that's why it's only roughly about half an hour. The objective is just to show you, how the team can support you. But don't worry, if you're new, there will be a dedicated and detailed session only for you, only for your markets, where you get a chance to ask all those detailed and silly questions. The team is there to support, okay?
All right. Thank you, Betty. Okay, so moving forward, let's take a look at some of the typical campaigns that we have supported some of the markets. So we have here a Garden Gourmet launch with the sausage campaign for Germany. So they had a post on Instagram, and also they've sent an introduction or an invitation email, which leads to the same landing page. And afterwards, they will go through the double opt-in process. And so it ran for 6 weeks with 380 participants. And then we also have here an example for Turkey, where they ran a hotel and office beverage lead generation campaign. Again, leveraging social media together with our Adobe campaign forms. What else do we have here? Oh, here an example for the Italian market for Rostalier. We understood that for some markets we don't have C4C, or they don't use C4C, but we do have a support wherein if the markets would like to be notified whenever there is a new lead submission, then they would receive an email notification, not only to them but only to their sales team. So this is really heavily leveraged in the Canadian market, in the Indian market, and also in the Italian market, so that they're always up to date, that they have a new lead, and therefore they can move on with the qualification process within their target SLAs. We can also set up campaigns wherein we can shoot an email if the lead is qualified, like a congratulations email. But if they are not, or if they're rejected, then we can also provide them a sorry email. So this again will depend on how you want to set up your journey. Okay, not only for those that got accepted, but you can also send for those that have not, and maybe redirect them to other opportunities. Okay, so here are other more um, examples. Here, when during the start of the COVID season, the UK, they have launched this type of email wherein there's a thumbs up and a thumbs down at the bottom. So it doesn't mean that the person will be opted out. It just means that okay, I'm still here, but I just don't want to receive this email. So they do this before on a bi-weekly basis and now on a monthly basis. So for those contacts that kept with the thumbs up, they still receive the other ones, and for the ones that click thumbs down, then they are excluded from the emails. Um, okay, so let me stop there. Next is timings. So for our SLAs, upon brief validation, you can already receive your proof at least 2 days from the request creation. So again, proof is the test campaign. It's not the actual campaigns yet, and this is only gonna be if the if it is a simple campaign, it's gonna be 2 days for items. Again, this can move up depending on how complex the campaign will be. If you have more than 4 items, of course, we would need more time. The reason why we have this is because for campaigns that have a combination of landing pages, data capture pages, and emails, we have to do it on different environments to make sure that we don't pollute our database on production. So we have to test a lot in pre-production. So, but on our case, our commitment is to send the proofs at least 2 days from the request creation date. Now, one of the important asks that we raise to the markets is to make sure that we are aware of the volumes that we will receive, because if not, then we will not be able to prioritize the requests from urgent campaigns. If we have the capacity, then yes, but if not, then you will probably receive the proofs um, more than 2 days. Okay, but this is the standard setup. We also have the cost grid. So this is a file that is accessible to the markets as soon as they get access to our SharePoint site. So this is the values here are based on time spent, and this is really helpful for a lot of things. You can get cheaper costs, of course, with working with us. You can even simulate your the costs of your campaign. And this is really helpful when you want to plan on a yearly basis or on a quarterly basis. And of course, you will have transparency. Do note that all of these are estimates, and because what you are billed with what you consumed. So in the case that you have finalized a brief and everything works well in terms of our testing, then you get you get close to the estimate. But imagine if there are a lot of reworks in the middle and changes. Of course, as we spend more time with those, then you are billed more time as well. Okay. So let's see an example from Thailand. So they have a lead generation campaign with a form, a thank you page, and they also have a thank you email. So for the form, it's around 77 euros. One trigger email is around 80 euros, and another trigger email would be around 80 euros with a total of 237 euros. Okay, so yeah, assuming that there are no editing, no reworks. Here, an example for Israel, we have an A/B testing. I think it was with the subject line. So you've got there and the email, the forms, the landing page thank you, and a trigger email, which the cost is around 330. And also, as you can see here, there is a follow-up email. So, for example, if you see that we have a very low open rate or click rates, some markets they do send follow-up emails to increase as well and to just push the message that hey, we have a campaign, and in case you missed, here are the details. And here are a couple of more examples. Here with the 440 euros. So as it's very small, but hopefully you could see. But the Canadian market, they are really a fan of the carousel landing page. So this is where they can display products wherein the operators could select from. And from selection, then they go with the form, the thank you, email, so on and so forth. So as it is an additional page, then that's why it will also cost more. But they
Maybe
do
I can make a
leverage the
quick-
service. Yeah.
Sorry, sorry, I interrupted. There was a bit of lagging.
Okay.
What
No
I
worries.
really want to reinforce here, guys, is through the CRM team, it is bringing scale and industrialization, and that's why those costs. I don't want to focus too much on the cost, but it's still exciting to see that we're really talking about small cost here, to really help with the execution. The team is quick. They know what they're doing. They've been doing this for quite a bit of time. They work frontline with you. Consider them as an extension of your local marketing team. And they can really help you accelerate your campaign journey in terms of, data, campaign, share some best practice on related to campaign, etc. Yeah. So really consider the CRM team, consider Angel, Elena, and the rest of the team as your partner. You can count on them. They can really help you with your campaign. They can help you interpret some of the results as well. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to them. Yeah, because that's all what they do. They're really the Nestle experts. They're even more expert than myself. They know how the solution works, so that you don't need to worry about too much Adobe. You need to focus on how to translate that business objective into a campaign, how to get that great journey that converts. Yeah, the rest, putting stuff in Adobe, targeting, making sure we're targeting the right segments, etc. All that, Angel and the team can help you with. Okay, so just want to really reinforce these points because it is critical part of the model we put in place.
Thank you, Betty. And with that, we are going to move on with the demo of our SharePoint site. So this is where we receive our requests. So do note that we are a young, digital-driven team. So all the requests go through our SharePoint and not through emails. So let me go ahead and change my screen. Okay. So here, as soon as we finish our handover with DSP, we provide the access to the markets to this SharePoint site. So here, when you click on new item, you also get to fill out a form. So here you've got the sales organization where you belong, type of requests that you have, and for sure by for the first times you're gonna use the campaign implementation. And here you are asked some information, and these are all related to Adobe Campaign as well. So if you don't know, there is a Power BI dashboard that also feeds or provides the information of your campaigns to the business executives. And for that to be visible to them, we need to make sure that all this information are set up correctly in Adobe with the campaign, what industry it is campaign, especially if it's a lead generation campaign. We need to know how much budget has is being used and how much lead were you planning, and comparing it as well with the Adobe database. How many leads are actually qualified and accepted. So that's why it's really for us. It's really important that markets uh, fill this information correctly and completely. Okay, so I will not go over the specifics because we will cover that with during our onboarding session. But this should be pretty easy to fill out. If you ever wonder where the briefs are, you have a section here to go and download the brief. Because as mentioned previously on some minutes ago, based on the type of asset you would like, there is a specific brief for it. For the normal Nestle Professional lead generation campaigns or email newsletters, we have one main brief that covers everything. And from that brief, it is going to be very clear what would be within our scope. Okay. So also, I've just to mention here in our SharePoint site, besides the information about the campaign, this is also where you will upload the assets, the images, videos, PDF files that you will be using for your um, campaigns. Even if you have a contact list, so this is also where you can upload them for us to use. So moving forward, let's take a look at the brief. So each market will have their own brief, okay? This is because each market has their own specificities, and we want to make sure that that is only concentrated per market. And here we've got a couple of tabs. So we have got the campaign settings. So we need the overview of how your campaign should be, the timings of each items. We also have here the workflow where you can visually design or set up how the campaign or the customer journey will look like. And then here you've got two tabs, one for email and one for landing page. So for email, we have this La Casa del email block wherein you can easily mix and match. We've created this in a way wherein there is a space for markets to put in their content. And on the other side, you will have a visibility of how the visuals will look like on desktop and also on mobile. So we tried to mimic the sections based on how it is visible on the right so that we could, so that the file could help you. Of course, it doesn't mean that it will be perfect at the beginning. That's why we are also here to support you and understand how you can fill these up. Okay, so those currently we have around 8 different blocks that you can mix and match. And moving on to the landing pages, we also have a couple of them, such as like the registration forms, we have the B2C, we have the survey, we have the carousel. You can pick which ones are applicable for your campaign. In here, for example, this one is for the registration. So you again have a visual example of how it will look like. And on the left is where you will put all the information that are needed to have this output. Please don't be discouraged. It is a big file, but as you go, you will also get to learn how to work with this file. So um, yeah, as mentioned again, so everything that you see here are within the scope. Anything, if for example you think of something outside of the box, let's work on it together and see if this is something we can support you with. If not, then it could be we can raise a request from the SBU to support, or it could be an opportunity to create a new asset. All right, so the rest of these tabs are FYI, so these are for the translation. And because moving forward, we can also have the possibility to attach files within our forms. And we will have the headers and footers that are available in your market. So if you want to be reminded which ones you want or you can use for your campaigns, you can have and take a look at these tabs. So that is our campaign brief, which you guys will get to work with in the future and have it shared with us through SharePoints, and then we can start with the campaign implementation. So, Betty, that is it from my side.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Angel. Yeah, I'm so grateful to have you.
Thank you.
Again, this process is really for the local digital lead in markets. We usually have a single point of contact for each market. So in the US is Christine. In Canada, I was not aware it'll be you, Patricia. Congratulations, by the way, on baby's arrival. So we need to see if it's going to be you or Ramiz or both. It happens sometimes that we have two campaign point of contact for large markets, totally up to you. But we need one person because the last thing we need with the campaign team in Lisbon is to have two leads. One is validation, the other one didn't validate. Usually it's not a good recipe, huh? So one person, that is the counterpart of the CRM team. It's what we're targeting, yeah. I think for all markets it's pretty clear. So Natasha, it's you obviously in Switzerland. I'm just looking at the names. Miguel, it'll be you for your markets. Andrew, for ADC, we need a name. Huh? So I don't know if it's going to be you or if it's going to be Alicia. But again, you don't need to respond now, but we need a single point of contact for your markets. Yeah, and this person, again, the process might look a little bit heavy, yeah, but it's only the first time that is, the brief is really big, massive, but believe me, once you do it the first time, the second time, it'll become your best friend and you're not alone. So there was an onboarding session with Angel and her team where they will really take you by your hand and explain step by step, how things work, yeah. Juan, you'll be the one for Colombia. I understood you've taken over from Alejandro. So yes, that's really, really brilliant. Is there any question for Angel before we go to the next part of the agenda? Any question on, ways of working with the campaign team, processes, brief? As you've seen, we constantly introducing new service, because markets say, oh, we need more of this. We need help with the data. We need help with coupon. We have some markets actually reaching out because they want to have coupons to stimulate retention and loyalty. So we are constantly adding new capabilities, Social connector is one of them. So the social connector with LinkedIn. So that list Angel have shared of services is something that we are growing, as we maturing as well as an organization. Yeah. So if you have also some great ideas, please do reach out, because the social connector, it started with some really great ideas from markets saying, hey guys, maybe it's a good idea. We have a connection with LinkedIn. Should we do that? So again, I mean, we also count on you to challenge us, to tell us, share with us your roadmap, as a few markets do. Because if we know your priorities, your must-win battles, your pain areas, sometimes it's also good for us, so we can, we can see how we can include some of that in our own roadmap as well. Yeah, there was a couple of things coming up, and we will have a webinar. It's, for example, it is possible now to attach documents on our forms. Yeah, so we had a few markets saying, can an operator attach a receipt on a form or attach a recipe on a form? So yes, that's possible. So again, we are constantly introducing some cool new features to our digital, landscape. I see maybe, oh yeah, there was a question, Veronica. Yes.
I think Christine was first. You can go.
Christine. Yes, Christine.
Thank you. Quick question. With the selection for landing pages, are those forms Adobe forms?
Yes.
Okay. That's something I don't think we've utilized in the past, the specific landing page tied to a
Mhm.
campaign. So maybe that's something we can look at. Thank you for showing
Mhm.
us those.
You're welcome. We have like different types of landing page. We have pages that capture data, and we can also have a page that is static. For example, if you want to use that as your introduction page, that's also something possible.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Angel and Betty, for the great session. I don't know if you've discussed this the other days, but a question I have, that you guys are the experts. So what we've seen is an opportunity in terms of the pre-qualification, right? Once you already fill in the lead, then we have to qualify it with sales. So sometimes that's the biggest roadblockers we have in markets. So have you ever done or seen any campaign, for example, that once they register, afterwards we send them to another like profiler or qualification form, where instead of, and we let them right to register, because maybe it's easier and faster to have a pre-qualification and not asking everything in the first form. So I don't know if it makes sense what I just said, but yes. Okay, so yeah, that's my question, because we're looking into new options, understanding how's the lead management in the different markets and seeing opportunities.
If I understand you correctly, Veronica, your question is on progressively profiling our leads. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
so,
qualifying them. Not only profiling them, but qualifying them before sending to sales.
Yeah. It's an exciting topic, but it's also a difficult topic. I have some good news. This year, we are looking at a new technology, a marketing technology, to help with the dynamic forms. Today, our forms are really, they're good, but they can be better. They're a little bit boring. They're a little bit old style. They play their role correctly. We collect data. It's safe. So it's functional. Our forms are functional, but they're really boring. There is no excitement in it. And sometimes it's really good to excite also the audience and excite the operator. So we are looking at a new technology to build dynamic forms. Yeah, so it'll help with the engagement. Hopefully we'll convert better, but also we will ask dynamically questions. So if the operator said, I'm from healthcare, then the next question will be, how many patients you get per day? Versus if they said, well, I'm in accommodation, then we'll ask for how many rooms do you have? So the form will be dynamic based on the previous question. Yeah. So hopefully this technology, we will have it available the second half of this year, where this can help supporting dynamic forms. This also will help with having shorter form, because sometimes the form are long and it's really a turn off. But actually, if we have dynamic form, the section will open based on the question. So visually, it's not overwhelming for the operator, yeah, because many questions will be hidden and it'll open only based on the operator filling the question. So hopefully with that, we will kill a few birds with one stone. You know, we'll have better conversion of our form. We have better data because today, you know, not to scare off the operator, we kind of limit the choice of questions, but that cost us in terms of qualification. You know, we maybe could have qualified better our leads, but we want to keep the form short. So this will help with better lead qualification, better conversions. Yeah. The form will also do something that has been really close to my heart for the last 2-3 years, but we haven't been able to do so. It's lead qualification. Digital marketing in B2B is building as much collaboration between marketing and sales. You know, we are marketers, and one of our role is to bring in marketing leads to the business. Yeah. But those marketing leads, of course, needs to be aligned with what the sales team have in mind, you know. So if the sales team, they want to go for CBB owners of a CBB channel, I'm just giving you an example. We want to go for independent bakeries in large urban areas. This is exactly what we need to get as leads, marketing for the sales team. Now, we cannot, for us, when we do a campaign, we either send everyone to sales or we send no one. But what would be great if we said, okay, anyone coming on the form that says CBB channel that has no vegetarian option in the menu and that has a throughput of 10 cups plus a day, this is exactly the kind of guys that should go to the sales team. Anything else, keep in Adobe because this is not good yet, not good enough. Yeah. So hopefully with this new technology we're getting this year, we will be doing dynamic forms. Yeah. We will be doing better qualification and deciding which lead should go to sales and which not on the same campaign, you know, instance. So anyone who comes to the form, please send to C4C. Please, Adobe, send to C4C only the leads that match this criteria. Yeah, it could be 2 criteria, it could be 3, totally up to you to decide as a marketer. Yeah. Of course, those criteria has to be reasonable because sometimes the sales team, they want to go for, I want a bakery, 20 cups plus a day, blah, blah, blah. Of course, your marketing universe has to match that, you know. So obviously it needs to be reasonable as criteria. But at least this will help improve the quality of the leads we're sending to the sales team and help with the conversions.
Great.
It's a long answer. It's a long answer, Veronica, but yeah.
It sounds great. I think this will definitely help. It will be also like we have to think well the journeys ahead of sending this, but great so that we will have this available. Thank you.
So hopefully we'll get some great news to share in the second half of this year, huh? But this is something we've been trying to get for at least 2 years with no much success, but we are closer now to this objective, which is great. I'm just looking at the time. We have exactly 40 minutes left, and we still have Cecile. But maybe we can take 1 or 2 last questions quickly. I see your hand raised, Patricia.
Yeah, I just had a quick question, wondering if we get a lead from a customer and they fill out, like they have plant-based and coffee, so they go into C4C and that's the kind of campaigns they get going forward. Is there a way, as a salesperson develops a relationship with them, that they can add on, like, yes, now they're doing pasta, yes, now they're doing things, like, can we change their customer profile so that then get other campaigns in the future?
So it's a good question. It's part of really the data enrichment, because rich data means better campaign as well. So we have a few fields. One of them, so Adobe is mapped to C4C. So what the sales team are doing in Adobe in C4C, it should come to us in Adobe. There is a couple of fields. One of them is category of interest.
Okay.
So we can say, okay, this operator is interested in dairy, confectionery, and solution. But as the commercial relationship evolves, maybe that operator is also interested in plant-based. So if sales, and that's really the job of the sales team, because they're the one commercially involved, they need to tick that box, because if they tick it, we'll see it in Adobe. And
so they can change it.
Yes. So they're not going to change it in Adobe, but they will change it in C4C. But it'll synchronize, yeah, which is great. So that operator will be picked up in the next plant-based campaign. When we do a plant-based campaign, we want to target all plant-based people interested. That operator will come in the segmentation.
Great.
Okay. All right, guys. So thank you so much. Thank you, Angel. You guys know Angel now. If you have any questions, etc., feel free to reach out. Now we're gonna have Cécile. So Cécile, a few of you know her already. She's not part of Nestle. She's part of Viso. So Viso is the CRM agency we've been working with for the last 5 years at least. I know them for at least 10 years. When I was working in Nestle Swiss, I used to work with Viso as well. They're really great agency. They're based out in Paris. And what Cécile will do, so she'll say a quick hi, and she'll do a demo tour. So she'll show you around. She'll show you where to find your data. If you're running a lead gen campaign, where to find your leads. If you want to extract them for whatever reason, you want to run an Excel analysis, you can extract the leads, cross-check, etc. So she should show you that. And again, it's just a demo tour, so easy on Cécile. If you have advanced questions, etc., we can organize at a session. But the objective today is not to make you Adobe experts, but just to show you around and see, show you where your data is and how you can access them, and some of the basic functions you can do on Adobe. All right. So, Cécile, the floor is yours. Take care.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Betty. Hello, everyone, and nice to meet you. So as Betty said, I've been working with some of you on the deployment of Adobe, and still now on a daily or weekly basis. So today we are going to do a little tour on Adobe. So I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm sorry, I'm going to put my camera off. I'm sorry for that, because I've noticed that my computer is a bit slow when I'm sharing my screen when the camera is on. So I'm sorry for that. But so I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go inside, so Adobe. Let me. Okay, so let me know when you can see my screen.
All good, Cécile?
Okay, good. So this is something I imagine you already know, but when to enter Adobe, you need a login and a password, and they are to be provided by the Sustain team. So you can directly refer to them if needed, or if you have someone new on your team. And also there is a small configuration to do to access both environments, so the prod and the pre-prod. So pre-production is mainly to do tests, and production is where the prod environment is where you will be able to visualize your real data. And so we have a dedicated documentation on how to access both environments. So if this is something you need, this is something I can share with you. So we are gonna go into the production environment. So I think it's okay. I don't know. So when you arrive, access Adobe, so sometimes you arrive on this home page. So this is not where you are going to visualize your data. So the best way to visualize your data is to go into the Explorer tab. So here you can see my Adobe. So you don't need to worry or to be scared about, because it's going to be much more, and it is much more easier when you access your market inside Adobe, because as you can see, I've got many technical folders and I've also access to all the markets. So that's why it can be scary. So yes, so maybe for instance, we can start with, I don't know, maybe the Greek markets, quite a simple one, to show you the different folders that you should be interested in. One of the goals of the CRM services is also to do some data imports. And this is managed here in this folder, the autonomous import D0 folder. So for you, you don't have to worry about this one, but just to let you know that it's the element that makes the import possible. So when you need to import data, this is managed here in these folders. And so the main folder I think you will be interested in is the profile and target folder. So this one, you can click on the little plus if you want to display all the subfolder you've got in this profile and target folder. So this is where you are going to store all your data. So if we go back, let's say, to basics in you've got three main types of data. So you've got the account folder. Here, another way to say, you will find company you are doing business with. So for instance, if you are doing business with Hilton, the data will be stored in this folder, the account folder. You also have got the recipient B2B folder. So this one, since we are doing B2B business. And here you will have the people, so the contact that are working for the account. So if you are doing business with Mr. Smith, who is working for Hilton, Mr. Smith is going to be under the recipient folder. And one last folder that is interesting for you is the leads folder. This is where you store all the marketing leads that are generated using Adobe campaigns. So, and also, at the lead folder is an aggregate of contacts. Both accounts and contacts are also populated in the background here in the lead folder. So these are the really three main folders to visualize your data. So maybe we can go a little bit more in detail quickly. But if we go in we go back in the account folder. So, at the top here, you've got the list of accounts. And if you look at the little number here at the right side, it's the total number of accounts you've got in your folder. So, and also every time you select a line, so here, for instance, on the table, you're going to have the detail displayed below. So for instance, on general, you're going to have generic information. Also, if you go on account name and address, you are going to have the details of physical address, for instance. And if you go on into the descendant, you are going to have the person that work for the company. So yeah, this is how it is working and how you can find the information related to the account. Also, it's working the same. So for the recipient B2B, so you've got also, here the recipient information, so generic information about the people you are looking into. On Ascendant, you are going to see the company that is related to. And also one important, so in Descendant, you are going to see, for instance, the marketing permissions. As you can see here, opt-in. So it's working the same for all the lines. And then also it's working the same, so for the leads folder here. You can find additional information. So here in general, you've got information about the account, the contact, etc. So
Maybe
yeah.
to see maybe a quick, it's Betty, maybe a quick comment. If you can maybe show the category of interest, as Patricia has asked earlier, so that we know that this contact, for example, is interested in dairy, plant-based. So this is exactly the field, Patricia, and also the rest of the team, that can be enriched through sales and vice versa. We know also if a lead is interested in plant-based, we also send the info to the sales system. Yeah.
So
exactly. So this is the field here.
You've got the interest, yeah. So you can find the information. So in the recipient folder in Descendant, yeah.
Yeah. So for this guy, for example, Patricia, if sorry, whose guy is this? Macacas Theophany.
Macacas Theophany, yeah.
So if this guy actually is been in a relationship with the salesperson, with the Nestle salesperson, and the Nestle salesperson discovered during the commercial discussion that he's also interested in standard beverage, then we'd expect our sales rep to tick that standard beverage box. So we have it also ticked in Adobe. And next time we want to run a segmentation in Adobe to target only standard beverage accounts interested, then this guy should be picked up by our segmentation.
And what are the numbers in the brackets representing?
These are codes. Yeah, these are.
Okay.
So for example, cold drinks, it's code 111 in the database.
Okay, cool.
So you don't need to worry about that. Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question, sorry. Is the only way these interests get ticked is from the sales team, or are we able to do it manually?
We could do it also manually. Yeah, so you could do it manually by going yourself. So for example, I know that the Swiss team, so Natasha does it quite often, but you could also do it mass. Yeah, so this is part of the data service, Tessa, because I see exactly maybe what I want to go to. We can extract a list of accounts that we know they're all interested in confectionery, for example. It could be 5,000 accounts. And in Adobe, we can mass update through the CRM team. So Angel can mass update 5,000 accounts by ticking the box. Dairy, for example, confectionery.
Okay. And then on the landing pages we saw earlier, would you be able to tag content on the landing page with the code and then have the behavior with that content also update the interests?
It's a good question. So, and maybe this would be a large discussion. I don't want to take too much time from here. Bottom line is, so every time you create a form, so those categories of interest, Tessa, can either be ticked by the operator on a form. So an operator on a form say, oh, by the way, I'm interested in hot drinks and desserts. So they could be ticked by the operator themselves. And that, of course, will enrich the operator profile in Adobe database. But they can also be induced. So if we are having a Nescafe whole roasted bean sampling campaign, of course, anybody coming through that form should inherit the Nescafe tag without him having to say, and by the way, I'm interested in Nescafe. Obviously, you're interested in Nescafe. This is a Nescafe campaign. Yeah. So also some of the brand tags are inherited because the form is created as a Nescafe form. So there is multiple ways to enrich our data, and you need to be aware of that as a digital lead, because if you know it, you can quickly act on them. Okay. So this grid here can be enriched. Maybe just to summarize, this grid here can be enriched in multiple ways. It can be enriched by the operator himself when he's filling a form, some of Adobe form, but it can be also enriched automatically, or it can be enriched in C4C because the sales team have done their job properly and they've enriched the sales record, and it'll come to us. Okay. Does this answer your question? But this is really a good and rich discussion. And if there is any interest, I can take it offline. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sure.
Okay, so let's say we did a giveaway through an agency, right? For B2C customers. And is there a way for me to import that database from the agency to Adobe Campaigns? Like I assume they're gonna give it to me in an Excel sheet. So is there any way to so that I can import it right here?
Yes, Miguel. So for each market, you see there is two lines. There is a recipient. So a recipient means contact in our internal terminology. Recipient is a contact. So we have B2B contacts who are 90%, 99% of the people we deal with. But there is also a folder called recipient B2C. So I know that some markets, they also have B2C contacts. This is where your list will go to, Miguel. Yeah. So you can import a B2C list and it'll enrich that folder in there. And each market has a B2C folder.
Okay.
But you need to follow a template. We cannot just push data in Adobe. It needs to, the column. There are a few columns.
Yeah. There are some mandatory fields. Yeah.
Yeah.
To import data inside Adobe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe some extra details you may need to know also regarding data visualization. So maybe if we go in the Canadian folder, sorry, just for you to know that by default, Adobe loads 200 lines. So you've got in your database. So this is why here on the right side, you've got 200 display, then slash and then a question mark. So if you click on the question mark, here Adobe is going to show you how many records you've got in total in your database. So it is just, to avoid a long loading time. So if you want to load more, you can always click on the double arrow here, and it will download. It will load, 200 more, and then 200 more, etc., until you arrive at the total number. So yes, this is what a little detail about data visualization. Maybe also, this is something you already know, but if you want, to change the display of the column here, you've got here, you can always, do a right click, and you have to select the first option, so configure list. So here, to sum up quickly, on the left side, you've got all the fields that are available in Adobe. And as you can see, you've got a lot. And on the right side, you've got the columns that are currently being displayed inside your table. So you can change the view. For instance, if you want to remove a field, you can always click here on the delete sign, for instance. You can also change the position of the field, or you can also add some additional fields. So for instance, I don't know, I want to put one address, I don't know, address number 3, for instance. I can add the address here, and then I will have a new view with all the fields I have selected. So here it's just a question of, visualization. It won't change anything about your database. It's just your own view to select the columns you're interested in. So I think, Betty, you wanted to do a quick test with the form, maybe? To see how
I think one of maybe of the most common question we have for market is, what are my leads? How can I see, especially if you have a campaign on air, if your campaign is active, usually markets are really excited to see how many leads we got so far, how many people filled in the form. I think, I don't know which, I'm looking at the list of markets.
So I wanted to take
the...
Okay, because I had the campaign from Jamaica, since it was the last one, but it's up, let me...
Yeah, sure. If it's on air, maybe take the one from Andrew now. Do we still have Andrew on the line?
I think yes, but... So can I move forward with this one? Is it okay?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry. I didn't know you were...
Sorry. Okay. So if it's okay for you also, Betty, I'm going to take a page in pre-prod, but since it's working the same, we will also see the lead in the pre-prod environment. It will avoid any, delete a lead and okay. So here I'm taking an example of a form that has been designed by Alicia from Jamaica. And I'm going to show you how you can see the lead inside Adobe. Okay, when you submit a form. So yes, every time you're going to have someone filling out the form, it's going, to create a lead inside Adobe and then inside C4C if you have C4C. So we are going to do a quick test in live. So just quick reminder, but you got always on Adobe form must minimum list with the first name, last name, email, and business names, since we are doing B2B business. And those 4 fields are always mandatory so you will find those 4 fields on a form. And then after you can add additional information and you can choose to have them mandatory or not. So this is up to you to decide regarding the other information. So let's do, we are Friday, so let's quickly, Friday, May at email.com, business name, we're gonna Hilton, I think business type up, business function owner, address, main address, state Kingston, phone up. And mobile number, this is optional, this one. So, and you always have also, you know, terms and condition and opt-in. So I'm going to tick both, and then I'm going to submit the form. And you know, right after the form is submitted, best practice is always to have a thank you message to be displayed in a thank you landing page, as it is the case here. And then you know that the page comes up automatically. And now we're going to go inside, so Adobe. So I'm going to go inside the pre-production, since I made a test in pre-production, and I'm going to go, in the leads folder of Jamaica to see if we can see my test. And here, as you can see, there is here the lead I created while filling out the form. So as you can see, we've got the creation date here and all the information that I've been filling out on the form. So if you remember, we've got the first name, the last name, the email, also the account name, zip code, phone number, also the address. If you remember, I added, so main address, the industry also. So here you've got all the information, and you know, if some information is missing, on your view, you can always select the information missing and add it to your view if it's easier for you, so that you've got everything here. And you know also that in the meantime, the company and the recipient, they have also been created in both of the folder. So if we go inside the account folder in Jamaica, we will find the account. So Hilton, this is the one I created. And also if you go into the recipient B2B folder for Jamaica, oh, sorry, this is because I put my name, so we can find, you know, Friday and May. So we find, you know, all the information about the account that has been created and the recipient, so the contact into, so the account folder and the recipient B2B folder. So just to sum up, you know, inside the lead folder, you've got an aggregate of the accounts and the recipient, but each lead, so each line is an interest, you know, expressed by someone in your campaign. Also, one thing that you can be interested in maybe is if you've got, you know, several campaigns running at the same time. So you are going to have a lead created from different campaigns at the same time, but it's not an issue because, you know, you can always filter, for instance, on the origin of your campaign if you want to do with, you know, doing, you can do or an advanced filter if you want to, or you can filter on the column, selecting, for instance, the origin. Here you can select the origin of your campaign. So I'm in the recipient, I don't know. No, but we can filter, so on the origin of the campaign, and you will find, so here it won't be relevant because I've got only one campaign.
I think it's better maybe for this, maybe it's better to switch to production as you are not creating any data, Cecile. We have better data in production.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe a quick note.
Yeah.
And so we are on the Canadian folder.
Yeah.
So Patricia, for example, you see there is a few accounts. So you see origin. You always see how that account came to Adobe. So in origin, if it's coming from C4C, that means it's the sales guy who created the account in C4C. And of course, C4C is interfaced with Adobe. So we have the account in Adobe as well. Yeah. But you can also see the first two lines. There are two accounts. They came from LinkedIn. So probably we have a LinkedIn campaign. Yeah. So
Right.
LIN is LinkedIn. And you have a Kit Kat, coffee crisp spread, probably. So active. And you know exactly the date. So this account was created in Adobe through your LinkedIn campaign on the 6th of May. Yeah. So everything is trackable, everything is transparent. You can maybe, if you want to have if you want to target only recent account in the database and you want to say thank you, for example, you want to have Fred Bauer, sending a thank you email, you can target all the accounts created between last week and this week, because you want to say thank you for joining NP Canada, for example. I mean, you can do so much stuff because we have quite a bit of data available. Yeah. And of course, if I have a C4C, if an account is coming from C4C, there is a good chance because the sales team have created them or because they've also closed them. Yeah, so maybe we know in Adobe that's the case, so we can maybe fire a congratulation email automatically. There was one thing that is really, really important is on the lead. So if you go to the lead folder, I want to really share something with the team here. So if you are running a lead generation campaign, yeah, and the lead are going to the sales team, that's where we see the lead status. Yeah. So in Adobe, we know that the lead is rejected, for example. So maybe you want to send a sorry email, or apologies, we haven't been able to process your request. But here is a list of distributors you can get our product, because we know that it's been rejected probably because they're too small for our sales team to visit directly, or because they're located in not in the right territory, the right geographic area. So it's always a good idea to fire an email rather than just go in silence, as we do in most of the time. Yeah. So firing an automatic, again, this can be all automated. You don't need to do it one by one. When you design your campaign, you said, if the sales team rejects my lead, please send this email. Yeah. And I can see, for example, there is still quite a bit of leads that went to the sales team and they're still sitting in status new. Well, that's not so bad because I see that this lead here has been created on the 5th, which was Tuesday. 5th was Wednesday. Yeah. So remember, it's good that we process the lead quickly. So it's not a good thing actually that the lead sits in status new for more than 48 hours. Yeah. So either the sales team have called the lead, but haven't updated the status in C4C, or they haven't gotten to that lead yet. Yeah. In either way, we need better, processes on the sales side. But we can do a lot from a marketing side based on what's happening in C4C.
Okay, so question. So the date format is always going to be difficult between Europe and North America, but I feel like these ones were actually just created today, the 6th of May.
The first one, yeah. And this was one yesterday, yeah.
So for us, are we looking, when a lead is created, are we looking at C4C creation or CMT last modification?
Yeah, so CMT means campaign management tools. That's Adobe, maybe just for the acronym. That means that this lead filled an Adobe form the 6th of May. And it's a good question you're asking about the date. The Adobe servers are based out in Dublin. So this is Dublin time. So that means it's 5 hours ahead of Canada, ahead of Canada East Coast. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe just to make that really clear, Adobe is interfaced with C4C. So we always have also, when when the lead hits the sales team, because sometimes we have some issues, blah, blah, blah. It's always good to, we know that it's always also been created in C4C at that same date, but maybe a few minutes later. Yeah. So this is what it means, C4C creation. So we know, because it happens sometimes that a lead is supposed to go to sales, but for a reason that connection doesn't work. Or it happens as well that a market forget to send leads to sales. It happens as well. Yeah. So this, if you see it's white, so for example, you see that there is a few leads there, there is no C4C, that means that lead never hit the sales system. Huh? So maybe is a voluntary thing. So maybe that lead was never meant to go to sales, or maybe it's a human mistake, or maybe it's a system mistake. So that's what it means, those white lines in there, Patricia.
Yeah, because there is no C4C ID here. But when a lead is created inside Adobe, if you look at the date and the time, it's automatic, then that the creation is automatic in C4C. So yeah, 3:53 and 4:04. So yeah, same day.
And then just when it says rejected by sales, is that can they give any details? Because like Betty, I like your idea of being able to send an email to follow up, like, hey, so we couldn't do this, but here's all of our products to a distributor. But is there a way to categorize why it was rejected by sales?
Yes, we have a reason for rejection. So it really, maybe you can add that field to the display, Cecile, please. Yes, you can even customize your message, the reason for rejection. So we know there is a reason with this consumer. So maybe you want to send these guys to the retail team. We have them in Garden Gourmet on our plant-based. Sometimes KitKat as well, especially if you're giving samples, sometimes you attract quite a bit of consumer people. Could be, duplicates. So you have what we call reason for rejection, and you can even customize a little bit your emails based on reason for rejection.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, I think it should be displayed. Where is it? Rejects. Oh, it was not this. Yeah. But it's not filled but you've got, for instance, rejected, and here you've got the reason. So out of geographical range, for instance.
So for this specific example, Patricia, it would be great if we can fire an automated email that says, "Dear Frank, thank you so much for contacting us, blah, blah, blah. Looking at your request, we cannot service you directly, but here is a list of distributors which can really serve you. And by the way, here is a promotional code to get your products, with $10 discount or whatever." It's a great way to really close the loop. So you generated a sale for one of our products, and you kind of immediately reacted to that incoming request, based on what the sales team did with it. No longer interested, probably because we took so long to get back to the guy. So, there was enough. The other one are white, so that means that the sales team haven't gotten to them. The reason for rejection is a mandatory field in C4C if they reject. Yeah, so we should be getting, but again, they should be picking up the right one. So it takes also rigor from the sales side. We are slowly approaching the end of the session. We have 2 minutes left. Is there any specific question? Again, today is just a bit of a teaser to show you around where your data is, etc. We have a few toolkits we can share with you if you want to extract list of leads, for example, or if you want to do stuff. We definitely have a couple of toolkits that are attached to the deck, so the DigiBite deck. Cecile, you still have something to share with the audience, or should we take the next 2 minutes to to properly close?
Maybe just, but I don't know, depending, yes, since we have just only 2 minutes left, but maybe also to say that for the market who do not have C4C, they can always choose, I don't know if I'm on mute. No, I'm not on mute. Okay, didn't. You can always choose, to send an email, an automatic email notification to your internal team, and you will get, I don't know, maybe I think I should have received one. Yeah, maybe an example of the test we did together. This is the kind of notification email, automatic notification email you can receive with all the information that I've been filling out for. So it can be sent to a generic email address or on to several people from your team, for instance. And also maybe one last feature you can be interested in is to export your leads, for instance, if you need to. So you can go into the leads folder and you've got an option here, export. So here it's just a recap of the columns that will be displayed on your Excel file, and then you can go click on next, then you still have the recap. You can choose to select where you have to localize your file, so on your computer. So I won't do this because I think I'm on the Canadian folder and there are too many leads. Also, best practice is always to put to have your file in CSV. So you can say, okay, next. Always here CSV, and also best practice is to use, I think it's at the bottom of the list, UTF-8 for encoding, to be sure. For instance, when you've got for, I think, the Greek market, they need to put this to have everything displayed correctly. And then you click on next and start, and you will get your export on your computer.
But we have a small, sorry to interrupt you, Cecile. We have a small toolkit that takes you step by step if you want to export. Huh?
Okay.
We are really slowly approaching the session. Maybe we can, if the rest of the audience is okay, maybe we can take one or two last questions. I saw your hand raised, Natasha and Sophia. You want to quickly ask your question? Otherwise, you can put them on a chat and I'll try to get back to you later on, as you wish.
I don't think I can even write mine down. Do you mind if I ask? Because it's a bit complex, because C4C, we have an ID in C4C per campaign, right? Or per form.
Per campaign, yeah.
Yeah, and if I notice that, oh, I'm getting leads on this C4C ID, but since I've not been here for very long, I have no idea which form it is, where it's located, like what is it actually that's driving the leads. I want to see what's being successful, but I don't know how to find it. How do I do that?
Sorry, where to find leads
so I have,
against a specific C4C container, Natasha?
Yeah, so I have a C4C ID, but I don't know where that C4C ID is actually being displayed.
So you've got, okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Cecile.
No, I just wanted to say that since you've got a C4C ID, a C4C campaign ID, so per campaign, and if you know that, for instance, you have, this is on your LinkedIn KitKat Coffee campaign, for instance, you can retrieve your leads generated thanks to this campaign here.
Okay.
Filtering on the origin of the campaign,
so the origin.
and the C4C campaign ID, you add it when you create a campaign. So I think it's here. Here you've got the C4C campaign ID, and this is where you add the ID.
Okay.
Here.
Okay. Cool.
And
thank
here
you very
you've
much.
got the name of your campaign, the one you will find when you will filter on origin of the campaign. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was helpful.
Okay.
Sophia, do you have a quick question as well?
Oh, actually, that was Sophia, and now it's Natasha.
Sorry.
Hello. I have a question also, if I may, because it's really specific again. When you mentioned the campaign from Jamaica, I saw there were 2 opt-in boxes at the end of the form. One
Yeah.
for the terms and conditions and the other one for, I think, the subscription to the newsletter.
Opt-in, yeah.
And so it means like for every lead that we get on forms, we should get this consent for the newsletter subscription.
Well, you want to optimize your consent list, Natasha. So the terms and condition is always mandatory. People cannot submit a form without ticking the terms and condition box, because that means that we store their data. That means a lot of things. So they have to consciously tick that box. But you want to also have a pipeline of opted in. That's why you need that second box. That second box, the opt-in is, up to the operator to tick it. If he want to receive, future commercial communication from Nestle, or leave it empty. Yeah.
Okay.
So you need to always have 2 boxes.
Yeah,
Some markets. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, the problem is that on our website, the current form that we have, it's also Adobe form. I cannot see those 2 opt-ins. Neither
There is no opt-in box?
No.
It should
And
be.
the other thing is that it means that every lead that comes from our website, we cannot send them a newsletter then.
No, it's kind of obvious, sometimes, but from a GDPR perspective, we still have to have the conscious opt-in, So that's probably a mistake from your predecessor.
Okay.
From your predecessor. I mean, it must sound obvious, if you have a box on your website that says subscribe to the list, you tick on it, you tick it, and you have a form, and you fill, Natasha, Kremel, blah, blah. You still need to tick that box, because when you tick it, then we can prove the opt-in that you've ticked the opt-in on that specific time, on that specific day. So from a GDPR, it's just solid proof.
Okay, and to change it, how do I handle that?
Let's take it offline maybe quickly.
Yes, sure.
We need to close for all these 6 minutes extra. Apologies for the rest. I can see most of the people have left, but thank you so much. And Natasha, then since everybody have left, maybe you want to stay and we can quickly discuss how to proceed. But yeah, so I'll make sure that I'll send the slides, the deck, to all the audience, and thank you everyone. Thanks, Edward. Yeah, and so this is your 3rd DigiBite? You like it so much, you keep coming back?
Like to see what's going on.
Cool. Thank you so much, Cécile,
You guys have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Edward. Take care. Bon, Natacha, il faudrait que tu regardes. C'est sur le site. Tu veux partager peut-être? Tu veux peut-être partager ton écran? Oui. Excuse-moi, le temps que tu partages, je dois juste faire une petite pause technique. Je reviens dans 2 secondes.
Est-ce que Betty... Ouais, d'accord, Betty.
Oui, je reviens, Cécile. Non, tu peux rester si tu veux.
Ok. Et la question, oui, alors pardon, c'était...
Pour ma question?
Oui, parce que du coup, c'est sur un formulaire de contact sur le site, ok.
Ouais. Et tu vois, il n'y a pas de ticking box, quoi. Ils remplissent juste et après, c'est validé.
Oui, mais veuillez me contacter.
Oui, justement. Peut-être que ça suffit.
Je pense que ça suffit. Après, c'est vrai que c'est pas très détaillé. On ne sait pas vraiment ce que... Enfin, que derrière, on sous-entend peut-être des newsletters ou des choses comme ça.
Bah, en fait, là, pour le coup, pour la newsletter, normalement, on n'a pas le droit avec ça seulement. On sait qu'on peut potentiellement...
Après, il faudrait voir dans le folder... Du coup, les personnes, ce formulaire, il a une origine particulière? Les leads qui sont créés, il y a un nom de campagne?
Bah, en fait, ça, c'est ma première question parce que moi, de ce que j'avais compris, les leads qui sont créés là, ils sont... En fait, ça envoie un mail à notre Consumer Engagement Service pour que ensuite eux, ils les contactent, soit ils leur répondent directement, soit ils transfèrent à notre back-office pour qu'il y ait un suivi derrière vente, quoi. Donc, je suis même pas sûre que ça crée
Que ça rentre dans
lead
Adobe?
sur Adobe. Ouais. Mais normalement, si c'est un Adobe Form, si, quoi.
Oui, mais je suis pas sûre que ce soit un formulaire Adobe, ça. Ou alors c'est un custom, parce que je sais pas.
Moi, c'est ce qu'on m'avait dit.
Ah là, je suis de retour, désolée.
Betty, elle saura, ouais.
Ça fait 10 minutes que je danse sur ma chaise. Alors, oui. Redis-moi encore, Natacha.
Ouais.
Il y a
Alors, du
pas
coup, j'ai
le...
partagé mon écran.
Et ça,
C'est
c'est le
donc
corporate.
sur notre site.
Ouais, c'est le corporate contactants. Ouais. Tu
Ouais.
vois, tous les gens qui remplissent ce truc, c'est bien, tu les as dans la base, mais ils sont sans opt-in, hein. Donc, on peut pas les activer
Oui.
malheureusement pour des campagnes.
Ouais, donc c'est ce que je me dis. Il faudrait qu'on rajoute cet opt-in pour qu'on puisse leur envoyer des
Exact.
newsletters parce que c'est bête.
Exact.
Ok.
Exact.
On perd des gens.
Alors ça, c'est le corporate contactas. Donc celui-là, c'est Vaiso qui le fait, hein. C'est pas la factory.
Ok.
Ouais.
Oui, Cécile, est-ce que ça, c'est quelque chose que tu pourras vite voir avec l'équipe technique derrière, s'il te plaît, de rajouter la clause d'opt-in?
Oui. Mais alors, moi, la question que j'ai, c'est la phrase, là, veuillez me contacter, c'est quoi ça, en fait?
Oui, oui, il faudra que tu envoies la petite phrase, Natacha, hein.
Mais ça, par exemple, là, quand les gens ils cliquent, veuillez me contacter s'ils répondent donc par email, par exemple, c'est quoi, en fait? C'est...
Bah, tu dois avoir une petite phrase qui dit je veux aussi être contacté pour les exclusivités, les offres commerciales. Il faudra que tu
D'accord.
l'exprimes, Natacha, dans un petit, tu sais, dans un petit sens sympa, quoi. Parce qu'il y en a des fois, tu lis ça, tu dis non, j'ai pas envie.
Mais ça,
des
c'est
fois,
vraiment pour la newsletter versus le veuillez me contacter là actuel. Il sert pour les terms and conditions. Enfin, est-ce que là, ce veuillez me contacter suffit
Ouais.
à
oui,
comprendre que...
oui,
Oui, ok,
bien sûr. Oui,
d'accord.
c'est un option, hein. Oui. Je veux
Ok.
être contactée pour les offres exclusives ou je vais faire partie du club Nestlé professionnel ou.
Mais en fait, il y a deux choses, si tu veux. Là, le form sur notre site actuellement, le veuillez me contacter, c'était vraiment s'ils avaient une question ou s'ils voulaient procéder à une vente ou quoi. Donc, et ça envoie un mail directement au Consumer Engagement Service. Et le Consumer Engagement Service soit leur répond, soit transfère au back-office.
Oui, mais nous, on n'interfère pas du tout avec ce process parce que ce process, on l'a défini il y a 3-4 ans déjà et puis il tourne bien. Nous, tout ce qu'on fait, c'est dans les nouvelles personnes qui vont maintenant saisir ce formulaire, ben, elles auront la possibilité de donner leur opt-in, hein, ce qui n'était pas le cas avant.
Oui, je comprends, mais moi, je pense qu'on va laisser le veuillez me contacter comme ça et après, on rajoute en fait une box en plus, en dessous peut-être, où on dit je veux aussi recevoir les newsletters parce qu'en fait, ils seront forcément contactés une première fois par le Consumer Engagement Service.
Oui, mais c'est pas un opt-in, ça. Tu n'as pas besoin d'opt-in parce qu'ils veulent qu'on les contacte. Tu ne vas pas leur dire, mais donnez-nous l'opt-in pour qu'on vous contacte. Il faut que tu fasses la distinction entre contacter parce qu'ils ont demandé et tu n'as pas besoin d'opt-in pour ça.
Oui.
Parce qu'ils ont soumis un formulaire, ils veulent être contactés. Mais nous,
Oui.
ce qui nous intéresse, c'est le contact marketing. On veut les rentrer dans la base marketing pour faire
Oui, c'est
des...
je veux
pour,
recevoir la newsletter, quoi.
Exactement. Et ça, c'est
Ouais.
juste une petite phrase avec un box qu'ils peuvent ticker qui dit « Je veux faire partie du club des pros suisses ». Mais il faut que ce soit une petite phrase sympa, tu sais, qui démontre qu'est-ce que ça fait pour eux, quoi, de ticker. Tu dis, voilà, je veux faire partie, je veux recevoir des exclusivités commercial.
Ouais, ok. Donc,
Et bien
et
sûr,
moi,
dans les 2 langues, Natacha. Oui,
Oui,
français et allemand. Oui.
Donc, j'envoie la phrase à Cécile directement.
Oui. Et Cécile, il faudra qu'on regarde. C'est sûrement j'espère que c'est quelque chose de rapide qu'on peut mettre en place rapidement.
En fait, je regardais si c'était. On est sûr, oui, que ce soit un corporate contactos, celui-là, oui. Parce que, en fait, je sais que pour les marchés qui ont des corporate contactos, normalement, je regardais sur le Canada et on a un folder spécifique corporate contactos. Et là, je le trouvais.
Effectivement. Non, c'est pas. Regarde la tête du formulaire.
Bah oui, c'est pour ça, c'est ce que il me semblait. Ouais. Donc, je ne crois pas que ce soit. Je ne sais pas si c'est nous si c'est Vaisseau qui l'a fait, ce formulaire-là. Ou...
Non, mais
Est-ce que c'est ce que je lui ai demandé, s'il était rattaché à une campagne en particulier pour pouvoir voir. Mais apparemment, tu disais que ce n'était pas forcément le cas. Tu n'étais même pas sûre, c'est ça, je crois, que Natacha, que les gens, une fois qu'ils submettent le formulaire, ils rentrent dans Adobe.
Oui, je suis même pas sûre de ça parce que moi, tout ce que je sais, c'est que ça envoie un mail au Consumer Engagement Service. Ouais.
Oui, je pense pas parce que ça n'a pas une tête de formulaire Adobe, je trouve.
C'est pas un formulaire Adobe, Natacha. Hein. Ça, c'est un formulaire Drupal qui va nulle part. Tu sais, tu n'as pas les datas dans Adobe. Les gens qui fournissent qui remplissent ce formulaire-là, ils ne sont pas dans Adobe.
Ouais, ok, c'est ce que je pensais. Donc, du coup, ça, si on veut le faire pour notre site, parce qu'on va changer, on va faire le transfert du site Nestlé Professionnel en août, on aura un nouveau site.
Oui.
Si on veut implémenter ce fameux corporate.
Contactos.
Oui. Alors, regarde le site américain. Tu sais, si tu vas sur nestléprofessionnel.us, il y a le turc aussi, il y a le français. Tu peux aussi aller sur FR. Ceux-là, ce sont exactement. Donc, ça, c'est un formulaire Adobe.
Oui, bah, c'est ça qu'il faudrait qu'on ait.
Et puis celui-là, tu vois, il est selon les raisons de contact. Hein. Tu sais, parce que subject, si tu regardes, il y a une liste subject. Tu as plusieurs. Nous, on a des processing différents selon la raison. Par exemple, si quelqu'un, il a mis moi, c'est plutôt food products, on va créer un lead et puis on va envoyer le lead aux sales à C4C. Mais quelqu'un qui dit juste, moi, j'ai une question média, c'est souvent des journalistes ou des étudiants et tout. Bien sûr, on va créer le contact dans Adobe, mais on ne va pas l'envoyer à C4C. Donc, on processe ces inquiries différemment selon la raison de contact. Donc, c'est un formulaire stratégique. La factory ne peut pas le faire, ça, Natacha. Donc, c'est au Vaisseau qui le fait. Et on a un petit brief pour ça. Et ça coûte, je pense, rappelle-moi, Cécile, ça coûte quelque chose comme 4 000, 5 000 euros à mettre en place. Hein.
Peut-être, oui.
Que le marché,
plus le prix en
le marché paie à Vaisseau, oui. Mais j'ai un petit brief que je t'enverrai, Natacha. On a déjà un brief pour ça. Ça explique les étapes, etc. C'est assez rapide à mettre en place, hein, Natacha, mais le travail est chez vous parce qu'il faudra que tu fasses un workshop avec ton équipe sales et tout. Et tu dis, c'est quoi les raisons qu'on veut mettre là? Et pour chaque raison, bah, qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Parce qu'après, tu vas automatiser tout ça. Tu dis, voilà, quelqu'un qui nous contacte.
Historiquement, pourquoi on n'avait pas mis ça en place, justement, ou tu sais pas? Non.
Alors, déjà, ça fait 2 ans ou 3 ans que Nadia est partie.
Oui.
Donc, on a personne chez vous pour continuer le schmilblick en Suisse. On n'a personne. Donc, il y a le strict minimum côté digital qui est fait chez vous. Hein.
Ok. Parce que
donc
Elena avait mis en place un espèce de process, nous, avec la vente, mais du coup, elle parlait pas trop de ce formulaire. Donc,
elle était sûrement pas au courant. Oui. Donc, pour moi, ce serait une bonne chose, c'est d'automatiser ce formulaire-là.
Ouais, ok.
Oui.
En tout cas, je le note après pour les 5. Alors, moi, j'ai un budget là actuellement qui est surtout sur le site web, que j'ai déjà complètement utilisé, disons. Donc, je ne sais pas si je pourrais le faire cette année. Mais en tout cas, je le note effectivement parce que je trouve que c'est dommage qu'on perde ces leads-là et qu'on puisse pas leur envoyer des newsletters, ouais, ça c'est sûr.
Oui, et surtout que tu les as pas dans la base. Tous les gens qui
Ouais,
t'ont
ouais.
contacté, on les a pas dans Adobe déjà.
Ouais, c'est clair.
Et puis après, mais mettons, si tu le mets en place, tu n'as plus besoin d'envoyer des emails à l'équipe de Maya. Tu sais, Maya Meyer qui gère le centre d'appel,
Ouais.
le Customer Service. Donc, il y a plusieurs choses que tu n'as plus besoin de faire. Hein.
Ouais, ok. Ok, bah, je note ça et puis je vais réfléchir comment je peux implémenter, puis déjà pour le budget. Ouais. Ok.
Ouais. Cool. Hein.
Ça
Je
marche.
vais
Bon,
devoir
bah,
vous
merci
laisser.
beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Hein. Ouais. Merci Cécile. Hein. Merci pour ton aide
Je t'en prie,
aujourd'hui.
Betty.
À bientôt.
Oui,
Merci
bon
beaucoup
week-end.
pour cette jour
Salut.
aussi.
Au revoir.
C'est très
Au revoir.
intéressant. Bon week-end. Au revoir.
Salut.
Salut.